الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We'll continue inshallah ta'ala with Surah Ghafir, Surah number 40, and we reached verse number 28 inshallah, verse number 28, and we'll try to go through 31 inshallah, from 28 to 31. So verse number 28, inshallah recite and recite after me, and again when I stop it doesn't mean necessarily that it's a good place to stop. It's just for the sake of learning how to recite inshallah. So if everybody's there. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وقال رجل مؤمن من آل فرعون يكتم إيمانه أتقتلون رجلا وقال رجل مؤمن من آل فرعون يكتم إيمانه أتقتلون رجلا آل فرعون يكتم إيمانه أتقتلون رجلا أن يقول ربي الله وقد جاءكم بالبينات من ربكم وإن يك كاذبا فعليه كذبه وإن يك صادقا يصبكم بعض الذي يعدكم إن الله لا يهدي من هو مسرف كذاب يا قوم لكم الملك اليوم ظاهرين في الأرض فمن ينصرنا من بأس الله إن جاءنا قال فرعون ما أريكم إلا ما أرى وما أهديكم إلا سبيل الرشاد وقال الذي آمن يا قوم إني أخاف عليكم مثل يوم الأحزاب مثل دأب قوم نوح وعاد وثمود والذين من بعدهم وما الله يريد ظلما للعباد. Translation: And a believing man from the family of Pharaoh who concealed his faith said, do you kill a man merely because he says, my Lord is Allah, while he has brought you clear proofs from your Lord? And if he should be lying, then upon him his lie. But if he should be truthful, there will strike you some of what he promises you. Indeed, Allah does not guide one who is a transgressor and a liar. O my people, sovereignty is yours today. You're being dominant in the land. But who would protect us from the punishment of Allah if it came to us? Fir'aun said, I do not show you except what I see, and I do not guide you except to the way of right conduct. And he who believed said, O my people, indeed I fear for you a fate like the day of the companies, like the custom of the people of Nuh and Ad and Thamud and those after them, and Allah wants no injustice for his servants. So this is the beginning of the mention of the mu'min of Ali Fir'aun. And this is such a great story that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most high, the most merciful, is teaching the ummah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam from the nations before, and teaching, of course, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam how to be firm upon the deen and how to give da'wah. And that also the qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he decrees something, he would create its means. So even from the closest to the people of Fir'aun, those who a person might think that they're the last people to believe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he will guidance for someone, he will guide him. So the wife of Fir'aun, she believed. This man, rajul mu'min min ali Fir'aun, from the people of Fir'aun. Who is this person? As some said, the cousin of Fir'aun, and he was saved with Musa alayhi salam, or something else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not mention. So this is sufficient for us. But he is from the people of Fir'aun. So what is more correct is that he's not from Bani Israel. He's not from Bani Israel. He's from the people of Al-Qibt, from the Egyptian ones, not Bani Israel, close to Fir'aun, one of his relatives, because Fir'aun is going back and forth like that with him, not treating him the way that he treated Bani Israel. Plus the ayah says, Min Ali Fir'aun. He is from the people of Fir'aun, not from Bani Israel. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said, لم يؤمن من آل فرعون سوى هذا الرجل وامرأة فرعون. Only two believed from the people of Fir'aun, this man and the wife of Fir'aun. And it was he the one that said to Musa alayhi salam, Ya Musa, inna al-mala ya'tamiruna bika liyaqtuluk? Was he the one that is mentioned in Surah Al-Qasas, that he said to Musa alayhi salam when he killed the man? He said to him, the mala, the eminent ones, the strong ones are getting together to kill you, O Musa, so run, flee. Some said it was him, because who would know what the people of higher authority are consulting with one another. But again, this is something that is mentioned by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. So this man, وَقَالَ رَجُلٌ مُؤْمِنٌ, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned his characteristics, that he's a believer. And that's what raised them into the high levels, and that's what all kinds of goodness comes as a result of being a believer. Min Ali Fir'aun, from the people of Fir'aun. And Al is not necessarily the family, but it depends on the context. So it refers to the family of the person, or anyone that is supporter of whoever is mentioned. So that also the people that supported Fir'aun, they are from Ali Fir'aun. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed Fir'aun and his people, those who supported him. So this man, yaktumu imanahu. Yaktum, that means he's concealing. He's making kitman, he's concealing his iman. Yaktumu imanahu. Al-iman originally in the heart. And it shows in the speech and actions. So when he's suppressing his iman, this is by itself an evidence that al-iman, faith, is not just in the heart. Al-Iman is in the heart and in the speech and action. So otherwise, why yaktum? If it's already in the heart and the actions and the speech has nothing to do with Al-Iman, why is he concealing? If it's only in the heart. So, and of course, this is not the only clear, of course, there are many clear evidences that Al-Iman increases and decreases. Increases with good deeds and decreases with bad deeds. And the speech of the person, the actions of the person are part of Al-Iman. And of course, the foundation of that is the matters of belief, which is in the heart, and the deeds done by the heart. So, yaktumu iman, he's concealing his iman. He is not disclosing that he is a believer to the people of Fir'aun. Otherwise, they might kill him or not even listen to him. As some of the ulama, they said, he's now inviting Fir'aun to the truth. If there's a benefit of him this exposing his iman, this might make the people of Fir'aun not even listen to what he's going to say. So he wanted to convey the message to them as if he is one of them. And the fact that he's concealing his iman did not affect his deen or his religion, that he's compromising his religion. Otherwise, his iman, his faith will be weak. So he said to them, أَتَقْتُلُونَ رَجُلًا? Are you going to kill a man? And the Hamza here is for the questioning. You and taqtulun, kill. Are you want to kill a man, rajulan, which is Musa alayhi salam? And yaqul Rabbi Allah, that he, because he's saying, yaqul, he says, Rabbi Allah, my Lord is Allah. وَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ, and he came to you with al-bayinat, with the clear evidences and these miraculous things that you saw from your Lord. وَإِن يَكُ كَاذِبًا فَعَلَيْهِ كَذِبُ. If he's lying, فَعَلَيْهِ, upon him is the consequences of his lying. وَإِن يَكُ صَادِقًا يُصِبُكُمْ بَعْضُ الَّذِي يَعِدُكُمْ. And if he's truthful, it will يُصِبُكُمْ, would afflict you some of what he is promising you with, which is the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي مَنْ هُوَ مُسْرِفٌ كَذَّابٌ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not guide man huwa musrif. And musrif is the transgressor, the one that is in excessiveness of evil. Kadhab, that is lying. And the kadhab, the liar is not just the one that speaks lies, is the one also that denies the truth. So if he rejects the truth, of course, either he would say this is not the truth, that means he's lying, or if he disbelieves in the truth, he is a liar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not guide the one that is excessive and transgressor and a liar. That means it is one of the means that deprives the person from guidance. As Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, he said in the statement of this believer, when he said أَتَقْتُلُونَ رَجُلًا أَنْ يَقُولَ رَبِّيَ اللَّهِ, that because he is saying that my Lord is Allah. When this was said, when Fir'aun said Daruni aqtul Musa. Why did this man said that? Because Fir'aun said, let me kill Musa, as it's mentioned in the previous verses. So this man then stepped up and he said that to him. And he quotes the hadith of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, أفضل الجهاد كلمة حق أو كلمة عدل عند سلطان جائر. The best form of jihad is the just word, or the word of the truth, by an unjust ruler. So in front of him, by him, he said that to him after he heard Fir'aun threatening to kill Musa alayhi salam. The ayah was quoted by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu in Mecca, and shows how, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, the Quran, they lived with the Quran in such a way that when Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, Urwa ibn Zubayr, he said to him, inform me about the most difficult thing that the mushrikeen, that the disbelievers of Mecca, they did to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So he said, Bayna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam yusalli, when the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam, while he was praying bifina al-Kaaba, right by the Kaaba, إذ أقبل عقبة بن أبي معيط. عقبة بن أبي معيط, one of the chiefs of Quraysh, he came. فأخذ بمنكب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He took the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام by his shoulder. ولوى ثوبه في عنقه, and he turned his cloth, his thobe, around the neck of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. فخنقه خنقا شديدا. He was trying to suffocate the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام with his garment. So Abu Bakr radiallahu, this was in Mecca, of course, and the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام praying by the Kaaba. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came, and he took the man by his shoulder, pushed him away from the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. Then he quoted this ayah, أَتَقْتُلُونَ رَجُلًا أَن يَقُولَ رَبِّيَ اللَّهُ وَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ. Would you kill a man that says, my Lord is Allah, and he came to you with the clear evidences? So this hadith is in Al-Bukhari, and he recited the entire ayah. So basically saying, how can you do that? And he established the evidences for you. And then he is addressing them with matters of reason. If he is a liar, and he started with if he's a liar, so that he kind of appealed to them. If he's a liar, فَعَلَيْهِ كَذِبُ. The lie he will bear with this lie. He's not going to bother you. وَإِن يَكُ صَادِقًا. And if he's truthful, then يُصِبُكُمْ بَعْضُ الَّذِي يَعِدُكُمْ. You will be afflicted of some of what he had promised you from the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That means what? Do not harm him. And as if he is talking to them again, if they are wise enough, do not harm him, because he will be punished by his own self. If he's a liar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish him, and if he is truthful, then you will be punished. So he says also ابن كثير رحمه الله وهكذا أخبر الله تعالى عن موسى أنه طلب من فرعون وقومه الموادعة. Musa alayhi salam, he asked from Fir'aun and his people to be at peace with him, not to cause any harm, as it's mentioned in Surah Al-Dukhan. And this is the same thing the Prophet ﷺ, when he said to the people of Quraysh, let me invite to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he is not in war with them. So let me invite the people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to harm him or anything. Just let me convey the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the disbelievers, they refuse but to oppose the haqq, not with reason or not with hujjah, but with the force that they have to suppress the truth. And then he said, Inna Allah la yahdi man huwa musrifun kadhab. So he was saying that to them, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not guide, referring to Musa alayhi salam, if he is a liar, or to them, meaning the people of Fir'aun, if he's truthful and they're opposing him. So either way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not guide the one that is musrif, excessive in their revenge, excessive in their actions, kadhab, lying, which shows again the wisdom of the da'wah. Then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, continuing what the believer of Ali Fir'aun, he said, Ya qawmi lakumul mulkul yawma zahirina fil ard. O my people, again, and saying Ya qawm, which is repeated all the time in the Quran to appeal to his people. This is, you are my people. I'm not a stranger to you. Ya qawmi. And that's why the da'wah is more effective from someone that is from among the people. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ. We did not send a messenger unless with the tongue of his people, with the speech of his people. That's why those who are indigenous to the people, they have a huge responsibility in inviting their people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they can relate to them more than anyone else. Because one of the very difficult barriers in da'wah is that when you speak to someone, there are barriers. You just want to remove these barriers for them to listen, only to listen with an open heart. But one of these barriers is that you are a stranger, you're a foreigner to us. That means this is a foreign thing. And this is how many people, they look into the deen of Islam. They look at it as a foreign thing. And of course, the ways of the forefathers and so on. So when someone from among them, he has a great effect towards them, as the Quran always addresses this. But still, the message of the Quran is universal, and everyone has the means to give da'wah. They should give da'wah, especially if people are fair and they would listen to the truth. So he said, Ya qawmi lakumul mulkul yawma zahirina fil ard. The people of Fir'aun, and Fir'aun was well established on the face of earth. So he said, my people, al-mulk, the sovereignty, the kingdom, now for you, lakum, al-yawm, today, you are zahirina fil ard. You are superior. Al-dhuhur is when someone is shown, apparent. So you are superior now on the face of earth. Nobody can do anything to you. You are the one that are oppressing others. So now this is your state, you're strong. فَمَنْ يَنْصُرُنَا مِنْ بَأْسِ اللَّهِ إِنْ جَاءَنَا. Who will ينصرنا? Who will give us victory? Who will help us? مِنْ بَأْسِ اللَّهِ, from the punishment of Allah, if it comes to us. And it shows how sincere and how strong he is conveying this message to them. So reminding them of the favors of Allah, one of the things to be established in da'wah, to remind the people of the favors of Allah. You are now enjoying the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You did not bring it to yourself. It's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if that's the case, and if you deny the messenger of Allah, if you disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَمَنْ يَنْصُرُنَا, who's going to help us and aid us? مِنْ بَأْسِ اللَّهِ, the ba's is the punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if it came to us. So instead of the people listen to this with their hearts, the arrogance of Fir'aun took place. قَالَ فِرْعَوْنُ مَا أُرِيكُمْ إِلَّا مَا أَرَى وَمَا أَهْدِيكُمْ إِلَّا سَبِيلَ الرَّشَادِ. I do not, مَا أُرِيكُمْ إِلَّا مَا أَرَى. أُرِيكُمْ and أَرَى is the same verb. مَا أُرِيكُمْ, I do not make you see except what I see. You don't see except what I see. Whatever I say to you, whatever I decide for you, is also for myself, is for you, right? What I see for myself is also for you. He's in charge of them. He's a tyrant, and this is the arrogance of Fir'aun. And Fir'aun, Musa alayhi salam said about him, because he said, what I see for myself, I see for you. And he is also a liar, because Musa alayhi salam said to Fir'aun, as it's mentioned in Surah Al-Isra, قال لقد علمت ما أنزل هؤلاء إلا رب السماوات والأرض بصائر. Musa said to Fir'aun, you know that what these words and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Musa alayhi salam, it's only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he knew that Fir'aun knew that Musa upon the truth. وجحدوا بها واستيقنتها أنفسهم ظلما وعلوا. They denied it, and their nafs inside they had certainty. But why did they do that? ظلما وعلوا, out of wrongdoing, and علوا, to be arrogant. So Fir'aun knew that Musa alayhi salam was upon the truth, but he said to his people, I only make you see what I see. I'm the best among you, I'm the most wise among you, so just listen to me, follow me, you be successful. ما أريكم إلا ما أرى. So he lied. وما أهديكم إلا سبيل الرشاد, and I don't guide you except to the path of righteousness and the path of correctness and everything. And this is also a big lie, but this is how they are. You know, when someone is an ignorant person, disbeliever, in charge, has power, and he's ignorant, this is what he was. What else he's going to say to the people? So as mentioned before, Fir'aun, he was like an admonitioner, a wise person preaching to his people. When he said that Musa alayhi salam is going to change your religion, now also he, because of the arrogance, he's saying to the people, I'm the one that understands, I'm the one that has the power. So I only would guide you to what is best. And what did he do? Did he guide the people to what is best? He guided his people to their destruction. He was the reason for the destruction of his people. Well, because they followed him, which is the danger of following anyone just because he's in charge or because he's have the power and so on. So people get affected. So to follow them in disbelieving in Allah, following them in committing sins and so on, that will be all the same fate, and they will be all joined together. But what should a person do if he's weak and oppressed? He should not obey anyone in the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and his heart, he has to disapprove with his heart. This is the least that a person can have, to disapprove evil. Otherwise, he will be joined with those who the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come to them. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about, and the story of Musa and Fir'aun is throughout the entire Quran. We learn from one place to the other. Some things are mentioned in the surah, other things are mentioned in another surah for us to reflect upon the story. So here he said that to them, and what happened when they followed Fir'aun, when he claimed that he is upon the path of Al-Rashad. Al-Rashad is the perfect decision, is the perfect outcome that he's going to guide them to. What happened to them? فَاتَّبَعُوا أَمْرَ فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَا أَمْرُ فِرْعَوْنَ بِرَشِيدٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said when they followed the way of Fir'aun, the way of Fir'aun was not Rashid. He said Rashad, it's not the path of Rashad, it is the opposite. وَأَضَلَّ فِرْعَوْنُ قَوْمَهُ وَمَا هَدَى. He deviated his people and he did not guide them, and they were all drowned as a result of the foolishness of following Fir'aun blindly like this. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Kathir rahimahullah, he quotes here saying, مَا مِنْ إِمَامٍ. See how the ulama, they learn. This is Fir'aun, kafir, disbeliever. But also in the category of sins for the believers to be watchful, not to imitate the disbelievers in any of their characteristics, even if it doesn't make a person a disbeliever. He said, مَا مِنْ إِمَامٍ. There's no imam, there's no leader. And this includes any leader, the major of authority or anyone that leads the people. يَمُوتُ, when he dies, يَوْمَ يَمُوت, the day when he dies, وَهُوَ غَاشٌ لِرَعْيَتِهِ, when he is deceiving, betrayed his ra'iyya, the dependencies, those who depend on him, إِلَّا لَمْ يَرُحْ رَائِحَةَ الْجَنَّةِ, unless he would not smell the fragrance of Jannah. وَإِنَّ رِيحَهَا لَيُوجَدُ مِنْ مَسِيرَةِ 500 عام, and the fragrance of Jannah is to be smelled from the distance of 500 years of traveling. That means he'd be far away from entering Jannah. If it's a disbeliever, it's obvious. If it's a believer and he died when he was betraying his dependencies, this is whether it's a father in his household, imam of a masjid, the person of authority, anyone that has those who follow him and they depend on him. If he's a believer and died in the state of belief, it's a sinful act. It means if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish him, he would not enter Jannah from the first instant. He will be punished as a result of this. So both can learn from this, which the hadith of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. Each one of you is ra'in, like the shepherd. You're in charge of something. And every person will be questioned about what he is in charge of, what he is responsible for. And the number one and the most important responsibility is not to deviate the people from the purpose of their life. The responsibility is not just to feed them and to clothe them and so on. This is a necessity, of course. But the most important thing is to be means of guidance for them. And at the end, guidance is in the hands of Allah. If they are misguided after a person took the means, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. The son of Nuh alayhi salam was a disbeliever. So see, and this is, and more even benefits when we look into these verses. How Fir'aun said, and it's mentioned for a reason, and he become an example, Fir'aun become an example for those who come after him, from those who are tyrants and disbelieving in Allah, and they just reflect upon their own power and things like this. The same way the believers, Musa alayhi salam and the like of Musa alayhi salam is example for the believers. The disbelievers, they also have ai', they have leaders that they follow. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned in the Quran about Fir'aun. وَجَعْنَاهُمْ أَئِمَّةً. We made them, we made Fir'aun leaders for those who come after them. And there's a hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, that says that for every nation, it's Fir'aun. The Fir'aun is repeated, but not the specific Fir'aun, but the like of Fir'aun doesn't end. It's always present for people to learn from this. Then after that, وَقَالَ الَّذِي آمَنَ يَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ مِثْلَ يَوْمِ الْأَحْزَابِ. He said to his people again, وَقَالَ الَّذِي آمَنَ, the one that believed, and it's repeated. Even though if it says the ayah, يَا قَوْم, it's a continuing of what he's saying. But the mention again of وَقَالَ الَّذِي آمَنَ, the one that believed, said to his people, يَا قَوْم, O my people, and it's repeated again, إِنِّي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ مِثْلَ يَوْمِ الْأَحْزَابِ. I fear for you, أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ, مثل, the like of يوم الأحزاب. Al-Ahzab is the plural of Hizb. Hizb is party or groups or companies, things like this. So the Ahzab, all the groups that were before, that denied the messengers of Allah, they disbelieved, and as a result of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished them. And Ahzab, that means they are tahazzabu. They got together. Al-Hizb, usually the word Hizb or Hizbiyya or Al-Ahzab, that means these people, they got together for a purpose. Not just a group of people because of their origin is the same or because they're living in the same place. No. Al-Tahazzub is when people, they have a common cause and they got together to be upon it, and they're so firm upon this. So they were against the messengers of Allah, disbelievers. So he's saying, I fear for you what happened to those who were before. Then he mentioned some of the names afterwards, which means that they had an idea of these nations before. So they knew about the people of Nuh, people of Fir'aun, because otherwise why would he say مثل قوم نوح, مثل دأب قوم نوح, the like of the people of Nuh and Ad and Thamud. That means they had some information about them. So he said to his people, مثل دأب قوم نوح. مثل دأب, الدأب is the عادة, is the way that was done before. It's the same way, the same habits of the people of Nuh, قوم نوح وعاد وثمود. And they are mentioned throughout the Quran in more than one place. Messengers were sent to them. Nuh alayhi salam was sent to his people. Hud was sent to his people. Salih was sent to his people. And they denied the truth. They opposed the miracles that they came with. And as a result of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished them. وَالَّذِينَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ, and those who came after them. So all of that is from the Ahzab, from the groups, those who were against the messengers. وَمَا اللَّهُ يُرِيدُ ظُلْمًا لِلْعِبَادِ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want any dhulm or any injustice or any wrongdoing to the people, to the ibad, to the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That means they were destroyed because of their evil sins, because of their disbelief and disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is what he is reminding them. And it keeps on going, of course, with more of these reminders. But when we look at these things from the first thing that he said, first of all, he's trying to protect Musa alayhi salam, the messenger of Allah, which shows also his wisdom, for the message to continue and to remind the people and to use reason, even though the wahy is sufficient. The wahy is to convey to the people the revelation from Allah. But there's nothing wrong with using reason, as he said, if he's a liar, if he's truthful, like this, without opposing the wahy, the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the admonition to the hearts. So he is speaking to the people of Fir'aun, he's speaking to Fir'aun, even if he's not going to listen, but to remind them to say the truth to him, and not to make it ambiguous or to please Fir'aun. And also to remind the people to be grateful to the favors of Allah so that they don't lose the favor of Allah. And also the verses teaches us how the people of arrogance, they would reply. So to be prepared even mentally to accept that, not to accept it as a way to approve it, but to know that this is the reality on the face of earth that people follows. Also to remind them of the nations before and what happened and things like this. And this is one of the things that affects the hearts of the people. Then he will continue reminding them of the day of judgment, and then reminding them of Yusuf alayhi salam, because Yusuf alayhi salam was there also in Egypt, and they know of his affairs from before. So all kinds of lessons that he is advising and teaching his people, but it did not work. But this man was successful. He did not lose. He was not a failure, wal-'iyadhu billah. Otherwise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not praise him, which is another meaning here. Prophets of Allah, the righteous ones, if they are sincere and they do the best they can and they advise their people, they are successful. Even no one, if no one accepts their message whatsoever, it is not based on numbers or followers or the effect of it. This is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's the responsibility of every person to put the effort to the best of their abilities, not to say, well, guidance in the hands of Allah, I'm not going to do anything. As long as they did their job to the best of their abilities, they are successful. That's why the proper belief, again, it's repeated, every messenger was successful in the most perfect way by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him. Even a messenger would come on the day of judgment, as the Prophet ﷺ said, without a follower, not even one person believing in him. So you can imagine when you sit with people, when you talk about deen, and for years and years, I'm not sure if anybody ever seen someone like this and not even one person followed him. This is very rare to happen. So the numbers does not mean anything. It's good when a person sees people accepting the message and so on, but it has nothing to do with one's actions to invite people to the truth. Because if it's about numbers, you can get lots of numbers if you compromise the message, right? Even if the da'wah to Muslims, right? You see Muslims away from the deen, so you would invite them to any form of deen. So the Muslims, they like to sing and dance. Some Muslims like to sing and dance, for example. So you tell them, okay, I'm inviting you. We're going to sing and dance and we're going to pray Salatul Isha. Right? Sure. So they sing and dance and they pray Salatul Isha. You're successful now because you get the people to pray Salatul Isha. No, you're not. Even if they follow you, even if they have some deen, right? You get the sins of approving sin, and it might be a good thing for them that they get invited. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, or they get to do some good deeds. But without compromising anything of the message of the deen, but to be lenient, yes, to be soft, yes, to be obedient to Allah, and to show them all kinds of good characters, which you have to do more and more because there's all kinds of negative things against you. But as far as the message is never to be compromised for the sake of da'wah, for the sake of results. Look at the people who are doing this and that. This is not in the hands of the human beings. And this is the message of the Quran. Where is in the Quran or in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that a messenger compromised something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him for the sake of inviting people? There's no such a thing. Neither the righteous ones or the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, because they understood exactly what that message means. You're conveying the message. You're just a messenger. You're conveying the message, but in the most perfect way, in your speech and conduct, and then the matter at the end is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we'll continue inshallah ta'ala with more of that next time. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Muhammad wa sallam.